Music can often be considered the soundtrack of our lives. However, I believe that soundtracks can be the music of our lives too.
Oh God.
You guys have asked me to do videos about soundtracks for a while. I don't really do too many. I occasionally pull one out in a haul or something, but I'm going to tell you what I think are 5 of the most essential soundtracks for you to own as a vinyl collector.
You said that really weird. Essential.
I did. Allison.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite movie soundtracks?
First thing that comes to mind, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Klaus Badelt killed that ish.
Klaus Badelt?
Klaus Badelt. That's how you say it, right? K-L-A-U-S. Yeah, I loved that soundtrack so much when it came out in 2003 that I like bought the sheet music book and tried to learn it on the piano. And
did you learn it successfully?
One of them, the song He's a Pirate, I had that stuff down. Also, another one that I bought the sheet music for and tried to learn was Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Fellowship of the Ring. That stuff is beautiful.
Good soundtrack. Very expansive and powerful.
Beautiful. Yeah, powerful. It's a good word.
What about Harry Potter soundtrack?
Oh my God! How did I not think about that? I was just talking about Harry Potter.
I know.
Yeah, that's another one of the best. What about you? What are some of your favorites?
Well, I would tell you, but I think I'm going to show you instead. Let's start off with a movie that's relatively recent, and actually we just watched recently.
Oh yeah! I just saw it for like, I saw it a long time ago, barely remember it. It's such a good movie.
It's a great movie. 500 Days of Summer tells the story of a guy and a girl who suck at communicating, and they're both awful people, but they're so compelling as characters that you have to watch the film. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel are both exceptional in this movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and the soundtrack is mainly the reason I love it. I think the soundtrack really molds the way that the movie builds itself, a lot, because music's super important to Tom, the main character, and you know, in the beginning it even says, you know...
Well, that's how they like first start talking, is the Smiths.
Right, exactly. So they're in the elevator, they're talking about the Smiths. The Smiths are all over the soundtrack, which, you know, the Smiths are incredible. My favorite Smiths song is probably their most popular, There's a Light That Never Goes Out, and that's such an iconic scene where like she's singing it in the elevator with him. That's probably the scene I remember the most. When I think. By your side. Yeah, so good. This soundtrack's full of great stuff. You got Regina Spektor, you got Doves, Hall & Oates, that iconic scene with You Make My Dreams, Feist, Wolfmother, Simon and Garfunkel. It's just crazy how much good music's on. Actually, She and Him is on here. She and Him, the she in that is Zooey Deschanel. It's a little on the nose. And if you remember in the movie, the Temper Trap, Sweet Disposition, is played twice. They play it like once and then again or later in the movie, which I thought was a little weird. They go back to it.
I don't remember that.
Sweet Disposition. What bums me out is one of my favorite scenes is when they do drunk karaoke and he does Pixies' Here Comes Your Man. And that's not on the soundtrack, which I don't know why. Maybe they couldn't get the rights to it, which is bizarre.
That's weird.
But this is an Urban Outfitters exclusive. I don't know if you can get it anywhere but there, but I purchased it there and it comes on this really cool translucent yellow, which, you know, 500 Days of Summer.
Oh yeah.
Is this tangerine? It looks more just like a golden yellow.
Looks like orange.
Like mandarin orange.
Some shade of that.
Tangerine.
You're probably colorblind.
Moving along, here's a movie that came out not too long ago by the Coen brothers entitled Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, I love Coen brothers.
Yeah, and you haven't seen this one, right?
I haven't seen this one,
I was telling you have to watch it. This is a movie about music. It's about a musician. It takes place in the 50s, 60s folk era, like revival period, and you know, it's the character's an homage to Simon and Garfunkel style, Dave Van Ronk kind of musicians, and the amount of musicians in this movie that are talented. I mean, Justin Timberlake plays a character and he sings folk music, which is great because he doesn't really do folk in his career.
No, I'd be interested to hear that.
On this soundtrack he does. Oscar Isaac has a great voice and he sings on this soundtrack, so if you like 60s folk stuff, it's just amazing.
You know, Coen brothers, like, they typically do have great soundtracks. Like, I'm thinking Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Which is one of my favorite movies.
I've never seen it, but it's supposed to be an amazing soundtrack.
We're watching it.
Punch Brothers are on here too, which is a post-bluegrass kind of band that I really, really love and I've talked about before. And I don't like Mumford & Sons. Anyone that talks to me about music knows I'm really not a fan, but Marcus Mumford does a collab song on here with a couple other people, and it's actually really good. So he's talented, I just don't think he makes good music with his band. This is just such a really amazing soundtrack, and the fun fact about this was that the day that this came out for sale on vinyl, they had it on sale for $6.57 because it was the price it would have cost back in the day. So like for one day.
That's so cool!
Yeah, I mean now it costs more. It's probably like $30.
But what a fun little quirk.
It was super fun and I had to buy it. I mean, not just because I love the soundtrack, but that's such like a cool story about it. So Highly recommend the movie and the soundtrack. Next up, we have a soundtrack that I was lucky to find at Amoeba used for a very good price. This is a movie called Into the Wild. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Directed by Sean Penn. And
I saw him at a stoplight once.
It's a really pretty gatefold with a
That's
nice
beautiful.
foliage and a truck. But the reason I love this soundtrack is because the music was done by Eddie Vedder of Pro-Ject, as you can see. This might as well be an Eddie Vedder solo album.
He's gonna sleep with this under his pillow tonight.
I mean, this is Eddie Vedder doing a lot more like kind of acoustic-y solo stuff. And it's great. I mean, some of his best songs. I think Society is one of the best songs Eddie Vedder or Pro-Ject has ever done, and that's a staple of this soundtrack. They have a couple versions of this. The music on vinyl pressed one. There's also a picture disc that goes for like $800 of this cover. This iconic cover that I'm sure many Pro-Ject fans have tattooed on their body somewhere, that pose.
It's a really cool image.
Amazing soundtrack. I mean, if you like Pro-Ject or Eddie Vedder's voice, you know, acquired taste for some, but I'm a huge fan.
Huge.
Huge.
We don't get in the car where he's not playing the Pearl Jam station.
Yeah.
Like, it's never been anything different.
Why would you listen to anything else? Into the Wild. This is essential, so pick it up. Keeping along with the grunge theme just a little bit, even though that wasn't really grunge, that was more like folky stuff. I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again. This is the Singles soundtrack, and I've been listening to this a lot more. Obviously not this copy because this is sealed. I actually have a play copy too, since Chris Cornell died, because you know this has been like such like a heavy Seattle movement band soundtrack. I mean, this soundtrack is a love letter to grunge. This movie's a love letter to grunge. This is by Cameron Crowe, who did Almost Famous and a whole bunch of other incredible films. I mean, Cameron Crowe is one of my favorite filmmakers.
He did the documentary for
Pro-Ject.
Yeah, Pro-Ject.
Yeah, he did 20. Nice. The reason I haven't opened this one is because it's the Newberry Comics exclusive on white, blue, marbled.
Ooh.
So this is kind of like a collector's item for me. I also have a black copy that I play. This has the first appearance of Wood by Alice in Chains, one of their best songs. Breath, one of Pro-Ject's best songs. State of Love and Trust, one of Pro-Ject's best songs. Those aren't on albums. Those are only on this soundtrack in a single. Screaming Trees, Nearly Lost You. Seasons by Chris Cornell. Mudhoney's on here, Smashing Pumpkins. Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns by Mother Love Bone is one of my favorite songs ever. And this soundtrack is just, this might be my favorite soundtrack ever. So if you don't know Singles, this was out of print for a very long time, and it got a repress recently, thankfully.
I consider myself kind of a movie buff. I don't know anything. I've never even heard of Singles.
It's kind of a cult film. I feel like if you're not like a huge music buff, especially grunge, like you might not know it. But if you watched Almost Famous, you're like, wow, this is amazing, which most people do. And you want to go back and see his other stuff, this is usually the next stop. So, you know, or say anything. But. And last but certainly not least, the soundtrack to my favorite film, Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, iconic AF.
This, I mean, John Williams is a legend and a master, and this is a original press of the soundtrack. I feel very lucky to have found it. You know, an excellent gatefold showing that Cloud City kind of atmosphere, the iconic blue and orange lighting. I have
This is awesome.
Clean copy of it. It sounds great. There's a tauntaun on the back. You got Lando. It's like this. The art is so nice. Of all the Star Wars soundtracks, I mean, it has the main theme, of course, but it has some of the best, you know, other songs. Like I love Yoda's theme. Asteroid Field is by many considered to be the best Star Wars song. And yeah, just everything about it.
How does that go?
I'm not gonna do an orchestral score with my mouth.
I was hoping you would.
I own New Hope and Empire from the first trilogy, but I'm looking to find Return of the Jedi at some point. I want to find an original copy if possible. Empire Strikes Back, you need to own this in some way.
You need to own it!
Own it! Those are my favorite soundtracks, or at least 5 of my favorites. What are your favorite soundtracks? What do I need to add to my collection? I have a lot more than this, so I should probably do more iterations of this.
Yeah,
I'd love for you to share some more soundtracks you love too.
Movies are my thing, so
yeah.
I'd love to chime in.
I don't really know movies, but I do know movie soundtracks, so...
You know a little bit about music, just a little.
Just a smidge. I want to hear what you guys like, so leave a comment and make sure you tell me what your favorite soundtracks are, or if you like any of the soundtracks I have.
And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to follow Too Many Records _ on Instagram.
I'm gonna post her Instagram too if you want to follow that. I recommend it.
Follow that.
Follow that. Alright guys, more videos very soon. Thanks for watching.